what you thought you knew from the shed of dreams, the leaking review.
Wow.
Oh my God.
I love how that just zoomed in, and I thought I was just looking at an image of a stoic woman, yet it's Jenn Grant in the live.
Hi.
Hi, Jenn Grant. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so happy to see you.
Been like forever. I blame us.
I do blame us as well. I think we forgot.
Well, you've been busy.
You've been busy too.
You've been hiding
And
in
then
your island
COVID.
home.
Yeah.
COVID.
Trying.
Whatever that was.
I don't know what's going on.
How you been?
I've been really good. I'm just cleaning my house.
Oh, well, because you're about to go out on the road.
No, I just clean. It helps me, emotion. It helps me with my everything.
Well, it's funny.
Like that? Clean. I love a good clean.
Are
we already recording?
Yeah, we're going.
I just didn't know if I should.
You can talk about cleaning.
Well,
I'm saying that I don't think people recognize the benefits of doing those projects enough, just to kind of clear your brain every once in a while.
I need to. I really need to. Yes. I have a cleaner too, like that. They come every couple weeks, and we were talking about anxiety and cleaning, and just like how much that helps. And then we have 2 little boys as well, so it's kind of like. And even Danny, maybe let's throw him into the mix. It's like people are following me around. I'm like, and putting their stuff in places that it does not go there. I'm like, do your socks go? Is that where your socks go? They go on the side of the couch?
You've been around bands and boys for a long time. Socks do go everywhere.
God.
I love how you had 2 boys and you said, oh yeah, and then there's Danny, my husband.
Oh, and he's great. He's amazing. And he cooks supper a lot. Because by 5 o'clock, I'm like, there's no way. I'm not doing anything else here.
As long as it's creative cooking.
Well, I did like that before, but it is not, I don't have enough. That's the thing that I'm not doing.
I'm just saying, I know a lot of cheese and crackers ladies out there who are more than happy to just, oh, you're not going to be home for dinner? I'll just have cheese and crackers. I'm like, what are you talking about? That's how you develop some sort of symptom of something.
But you have maybe some red wine as well.
One bottle at a time. Queen of the Strait, you have a new album. That's exciting.
It is.
I saw that you were at Josh Van Tassel's place, or you were working with him. Did you go to his place?
No, Danny and Josh co-produced it, and we did it here in the studio.
Okay, I didn't know that I knew that Danny had produced a lot of your stuff before, but.
You're in my house, okay?
Okay.
My house. Oh, I just hurt my foot. It's okay though. And then if you look at the window, can you see a building up there? Oh, weird. It's doing its own Zoom thing. Anyways, and then there's this water. But so that's where originally I thought I'm maybe going to rent a space and bring all this gear and have like a week staying in some house somewhere. And then the closer we got to it, the guys were like, we got all that gear in the studio that you guys have. And so the way that we compromised is that Josh had the idea that we would bring things that meant something to me, personal items and stuff, and kind of decorate it a bit up there. Okay. And I also really liked that the kids, like, they get home at whatever time, in the afternoon, and I'm here, because originally also there was this conversation around me going to Ireland to make half of it and Nashville to make half of it. And that felt exciting, but then I realized I think sometimes I get used to the fact that I'm surrounded by so many really talented artists. And
it's changed a lot.
Why would I leave if I could make it with these people that I love?
It's changed a lot over the years, where you had to go before, and now technology has changed, and so many people have picked up the craft of self-producing and or have taught themselves to produce and become very good at it that are in your neighborhoods where you had to go to these places to find them.
That is your husband.
And now here's a problem. How does he, or at least this is a problem that I'm envisioning. Your husband is working with you. There's supposed to be creative feedback, but then there's supposed to be creative ownership. So where does the feedback wrap up? And then Jenn's ownership of the project. And then do you both walk away after an in-studio dispute and say, that's not a domestic, that's just an in-studio or at work discussion. Let's go home for cheese and crackers and a bottle of wine.
No, I don't want to disappoint you, but we don't have domestics in the studio.
Well, this is what I was saying, like, because it's just a work relationship at that point, right?
No,
Whereas
I
if
don't
there's
really
socks,
think of it either.
if there's socks all over the house, it's domestic time.
Like I think I've made like seven records with Danny. So we have a really good working relationship. That's why we work together. And I know what I do. I know all of his, things that would bother him or things that he loves. And we also have that we share a rhythm of work ethic, I think, where we're creative and we like to get things done quickly. And that's really helped us. We've just made so many things together. But Josh, I wanted to do something different, and I have worked with other producers too, but I thought, and also because Danny and we co-produced Champagne Problems, and that was nice to know that I could take on that type of role if I wanted to, but I don't need to do that. I don't want to do that again. I've tried to do a lot of different things. I don't need to do that. I'm good.
I was just talking with an artist just the other day who kind of said the same thing. He's like, I'm good in the studio. I'm great at doing a little bit of production myself, a little bit of the producing, but you don't want me miking anything. You don't want me plugging in anything. It all goes to hell real fast.
Oh my God, I'm the worst. I'm the worst at tech.
That's so funny that an artist would say that, because that's all you've been doing your entire career. You've been self-teching.
I've been singing and writing songs and making creative decisions and that kind of thing. But during the pandemic, I tried to learn a little bit about producing and stuff. And then when we made Champagne Problems, I thought for myself, I can only validate that co-production credit if I'm doing some recording and if I'm doing that, like specifically writing things and charting them in MIDI. And so I did that. And now I'm like, it's cool. I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. I was so happy to have Josh and Dan just come and both of them produce me and see what type of thing would come out if they were together. And they just both have these really, they have similar work ethic, and they're just both really super creative. And I love both of them so much. And I also had listened to Rose Cousins' album that Josh produced with Rose. They co-produced that on a walk or something, before we started this. And there was something about that album that made me think, I do think maybe I would like to have Josh more involved. And it was really fun. And I don't know what will happen next, but I would do that same record again with those people, with Christine Bougie and Dan and Josh and Kyle Konjak and Kim Harris. Such an amazing group of people.
I've heard of some artists, though, when they have a studio on their property, they can kind of spend a lot of time in there, like wasting. I never
go in there.
Pardon me?
I don't go in there.
That's just for Danny. Go in there. He does his work.
Danny's studio. I go in there, obviously I go in there, but I don't go in there and write in there or do anything like that.
So you had all your songs set for the new album. Danny knows he's going to produce. Josh is going to be in production. You've got maybe the title even, Queen of the Strait, Let's Go, or how did that?
I wrote 41 songs across 3 years and 3 bursts of songwriting. And then Danny made charts for a whole bunch of them. And when we got to the studio with the band, they hadn't heard anything, just Danny and Josh, but they had these charts, and they're very talented. And we were very specific about who was playing on the record. And I wanted to call it the Gold Cup and Saucer Parade. And then my manager, Sheena, she thought that was a joke. And I was like, that's not a joke. Anyways, we changed it.
I like it a lot. There's a song on the album that is dedicated to your mom.
Well, the whole record is kind of, it's about my whole life, and she's very much a huge part of that. And the whole album is dedicated to my brother. But, you know, are you talking about Queen of the Strait?
I'm talking about Jim Cuddy Dress.
Oh, right. That, of course. Yeah.
That
Yeah,
one
Jim,
in particular.
yes,
So
you're right.
I'm listening to that song, and it's a great song. And it's about your mom getting to meet Jim Cuddy. Is that true? Because if you say that she only got to meet Jim Cuddy at that Juno Awards in Ottawa, I remember that day.
Wow.
I believe I remember that day because I think we were doing a performance recording thing at some pub in Ottawa. Is that the time when she may have met him, or did she meet him at something like a gala?
It was the Saturday night, like, you know, that awards event.
That gala, the gala awards, the dinner.
Right, exactly. It was after the dinner.
So after the dinner was a performance, I believe, that we had done something with Six Shooter Records, and it would have been through Cuddy's management and stuff, and Jim Cuddy was playing, and I remember some very specific details of that night. One, the stage had a large post right at the front of the stage that was blocking basically half of the stage. And this was just to keep the ceiling up. But
Oh my God.
it was right at the front of the stage. And the only thing that makes it stand out to me is that there was some dude who was standing right at the front of the stage, like 2 feet away from all the performers. And he was leaning up against this post with a giant iPad, like a 12-inch iPad. And he was filming the entire thing. And I'm like, well, good for you for leaning up against the post because you're going to get some stability. But what are you doing with these files? Where are you taking this whole thing? But
So what I remember about that Junos
go on.
is I can say whatever I want, right? This type of show.
Have you ever been filtered, Jen?
No, I don't think, not too much. So at that Juno, so again, like my mother, she's literally like she's dying at the Junos, and
Like you mean her health is very poor at this
it's
time?
very poor. So I don't know if you would call that actively dying. She died 3 weeks later, though.
Okay.
So someone at Six Shooter made pot cookies.
No, not that Junos. That was that's
was
another
that-
time.
No, that was that Junos because my mom almost had some, and it definitely would have killed her.
So
And because I was in the back, like mom didn't do drugs or drink, and like, you know, anyway, someone made the pot cookies, and I know someone I love, and they were like, oh, I thought that stuff in the bottom was just like nothing, but it was like all the like really potent stuff. So the cookies were crazy, and someone from Six Shooters like cousin was taken out on a stretcher. Do you remember that? An ambulance, and I had however much of a cookie like in the bathroom, and I was just like, can I swear on this show also?
is that the only language that you know? I would hate for you to develop a new language skill.
I was all over the place in my mind. And I was walking around with mom trying to get through like a crowd and trying to find something, and like, it was really not.
So it's either Helen or Emily who made those cookies.
Jen Rogers.
Jill Rogers. Oh, that's right.
Jen
Okay.
Rogers. Who I
Okay.
loved. She's not there anymore.
But it was probably only a week before that where we were all in Austin, Texas.
And that party where your guy
Steve Major, my recording engineer.
Major had his situation. That is because
No. Yes. That's another guy. That's another guy. The guy that fell on the stairs.
yeah, that guy. Wait, what? Who was?
Craig.
Right, Craig. Where's Craig now?
Doesn't matter.
Okay, so Craig. So at the Six Shooter party, Jen made margaritas, and instead of water, she used tequila.
Okay. Well, tequila goes in a margarita.
But in the margarita machine, you're supposed to put a certain amount of water,
Okay.
a whole bunch of water.
All right.
But
So there's
she put a whole bunch of tequila. So It wasn't Craig's fault.
That bar was, the bottom bar was called Headhunters, and I don't remember what the top one was because it was an
I remember
outdoor.
that very well.
But
Did I go to the hospital with that guy?
well, there's a lot of stories here. We got a lot of stories that are kind of intertwining, and that's the difficult thing about South by Southwest being like in sometimes overlapping with the Junos and so on. So when you say that there was pot cookies at the Junos, I say there was pot cookies at South by Southwest when we were doing recordings in that house.
Oh, yeah, I also did that. That was bad.
So I've never done any drugs in my life.
Wow,
Like,
it's amazing.
No meth, no heroin.
No meth. Let's start with meth. Listen, I haven't done meth.
Okay.
I also haven't done meth.
Like not a drug. Okay. Weapons grade, black tar heroin. No, haven't touched it. I'm in the house getting ready to set up for the day as we were bringing in, like in some cases, 8 different artists per day would come in and do a couple of acoustic songs, which you have played at a number of times. No one is in the house, and there's a fresh batch of cookies on the counter. And it is nothing for me to snorkel back cookies. Like if they are there, I can pop them back. No problem. I did not know that these things were pot cookies. I did not, for whatever reason, take a bite because I would have been laid out.
Yeah.
Like that guy, Craig, who ended up being laid out the next. So fast forward, we're in Austin now. I go off to see a show during South by Southwest, and my buddy Steve, our recording engineer, one of the greatest recording engineers, especially live off the floor in Canada, award-winning, and if he hasn't won a damn award, he better goddamn win an award soon. Steve calls me. I'm in a venue. It's so loud in Austin, Texas. He goes, "Hey, I'm with Craig. We're at the hospital." And I said, "Cool, have fun." And I hung up because I thought he was saying they were seeing a band called The Hospital. I didn't connect that there's this, trauma that has happened to this guy from maybe missing all the stairs at a bar later on that evening.
I'm glad you told me that it wasn't Steve too, because I've had this like wondering over the last decade if was that Steve or was that someone else?
So then we're in the hospital. They finally call me back. And they're like, "No, you don't understand. We are at the hospital. It is not good. There's lots of blood." And we're in there. And this hospital is like the main spot for all of the prisons, I guess, in the area. And I guess things got stabby in a prison. So they are filling this emergency area where we're standing waiting with all of these people that are coming in from the prisons. And then one dude, while there, grabs a knife and starts waving it around at anybody in this emergency area. Like it's not the waiting area, we're where the doctors are. And then he gets taken down. I'm like, man, what a night. Thank God I didn't have the pot cookies.
Thank God.
But anyhow, yes, many times seeing you perform on stage, but that dress, we got to get back to the song, okay? Right. Your mom really liked Jim Cuddy.
Oh, she loved Jim. She loved Blue Rodeo.
And did she ask, is that true that she asked to be buried in the dress that she met Jim Cuddy in? Now, did that happen?
Yep.
Jim Cuddy has met me a million times. We've had lots of great conversations. I've never heard of him saying anything to the matter of, boy, last time I talked to that Jeff Leake guy, I was wearing this jacket. I would like to I'd like to be buried in this jacket. That is so sweet. Does Jim know?
Oh, yeah. Jim and I are actually really close.
Yeah.
Now, we have been for about 5 years.
Okay.
But that was however long ago that was. That was in 2012.
Right.
So I didn't know him at all.
14 years ago.
Yes, I didn't know him at all when I introduced them.
Well, that's so sweet. That's a great story. One of those things that you want to hang on to, and you hung on to it through song. and you get to share that story.
Well, it's funny because, that's like if I was, with a really good friend and we were, like, I remember telling this story to a couple of good friends of mine when we were making a record, a couple good friends of mine when we were making a record in Portland, Oregon. And it's like that type of story that is like, when you really are like in that mode where you're like connecting with someone, you tell them this like this big, this special thing that not very many people know. I told him this whole story about that experience with the dress and mom and like how that went down. And it wasn't until I just started writing more personal stuff that I was like, oh, I think I am actually ready to share this, and a whole bunch of other stories from the album too that are just those types of stories, I guess, for me anyway.
I think that's a big thing for artists, because how much do you want to put out there as opposed to how much mystery is out there? I think there's a big divide, and maybe artists can go all directions with that, where maybe one day it could be a very open book about the life of Jenn Grant, and then maybe the next time it's just completely made up superhero taking on the villain type lyrics. And I think both are cool, because I think at the end of the day, people who are listening to your music are interpreting it to however they want. And as long as they come back with that "it felt good" vibe, then I think that's a good spot to be in. But where you weren't, like, I'm sure your early songs have all been from a personal reflection, and
they would be personal, but they would be kind of hidden in metaphor.
Right.
And I think that getting an emotion across through my voice was the thing that I felt like I could do. And I think it's, sometimes it's just not until you really know yourself that you maybe are ready to share some things.
Well, you got to be in your comfort zone, right? That's not my spot. Like, I watched a documentary the other day where I knew a lot more about this band than what was being told in the documentary.
I wonder what it was.
But I could tell, I'm just saying that you could tell that they wanted, I don't know, it's just a comfort zone thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I've seen a lot of documentaries, though, speaking of that, about music, that I'm like, they have not told a fraction of who this band really is. That they were maniacs, or that they were out all night, and yet they're trying to make themselves be a little bit more polished, and that for whatever reason in the documentary. And then you go the other side, like the Motley Crue documentary, and it's like, nope, that's exactly what they did. Right. they definitely did the cocaine in that location. They definitely, did this and such. So, but yeah, a comfort zone thing. Absolutely. But while we're still talking about this being down in Austin, Texas for South by Southwest and pot cookies and all that stuff, the first time that we did something in Austin, Texas, in one of the homes that we had rented with 6 Shooter Records, speaking of how great Steve is in terms of a live off the floor recording engineer, producer, he also severely electrocuted you while we were there. Do you remember that?
I've been electrocuted a couple of times. How bad was it?
The lightning went into your mouth.
The what?
The lightning.
The lightning?
The lightning went into your mouth.
Did you see it?
Yes.
That's fucked up.
It went, because you went to the microphone. It wasn't properly grounded. And I'm like, oh, I just met Jenn Grant. She seems like a lovely person, but this is going to put us like 5 minutes behind.
Yeah. Lunch.
Yeah, unbelievable. The stuff.
How did I react?
Well, you were hurt.
Yeah, okay.
It didn't feel good.
You guys have always been really nice to me, and I think maybe it's because of that.
Maybe? You're saying being nice because
you guys are just so kind to me, I find. I mean, I think you're kind anyway, but I thought, oh, they're so kind because I helped that Craig guy. But it could be a combination of that and the electrocution and just your general joie de vivre.
Yeah, sending volts of power into someone's mouth is never something I anticipated seeing, and I'm just happy that you recovered from that so many years ago. So good. Touring wise, you're going out on the road and you've got dates, been doing dates, and it's more dates than that. Is it easier to tour with 3 boys being back at home? And by that, I mean your husband and your 2 boys.
Oh, we're all together.
Everyone's coming out on the road?
Well, not the 2 Alberta dates, but everything else.
And how does that work out? What's the dynamic there? How?
Every day is a mystery.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the dynamic is good. I mean, I try to make sure that Dan doesn't get too stressed. But the kids are, they want to go on tour. On the last album, they toured across Canada, and I mean, they've been sort of touring since they were born. But then there was COVID and stuff, so they had that time at home, which was great.
Does that worry you that you have 2 young boys who are being brought up in the music industry and told every piece of the music industry? Because most bands who have children, their children don't tour with them, so they don't understand how real difficult it is to get in that vehicle and go across the country.
Well, they're very aware of how difficult it can be to get across the country. I mean, they're only 5.5 and 7.
Well, that's what I mean, though, too, because then it's a lot more lifting for you guys while you're in all these locations.
Oh, right. It's hard. As my friend Amy Millen would say, it's hard both ways. It's hard to leave them, and it's hard to take them.
That's very well put. I get that. Amy means well.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's like, and then also it's great and it's amazing. So, things can be hard and amazing at the same time.
Well, and when else are you going to be able to do this? Because they're so young. They're getting probably a much greater experience at 5.5, touring along for the next few weeks, sorry schools and education systems, than maybe that same time period in that school and education. And it's not like it's going to morph them into terrible people. Well, they didn't learn how to operate on milk day or whatever it was.
Yeah. Well, they're getting a mix. They're getting a mix of both things, kind of.
So would they be doing schooling while they're on the road?
No.
No.
Maybe they should be. Well, I thought, for this time I was talking to our nanny, who's amazing for this tour, because sometimes we also sorting out childcare is should be a paid situation.
Yes.
Not really, but I like Gus is in grade 2 and Hank is in primary. So, I mean, we will take books and we'll take the notebook where you're supposed to do activities and we'll try to do some of that.
Right.
I'm not really great at getting that done when there's so many other things going on.
Yeah, it's nonstop when you're on the road. And then you also need a little bit of that time to yourself. So that's one thing that I know a lot of artists like about going from gig to gig is you can actually just, as much as there might be 7 people on the bus or in the van or whatever, you can actually have some real good downtime because people just know this is a non-talking time. Everyone's got headphones in.
Yeah.
We can just relax.
A long time since I've done this, even though I feel like I have been doing this. I know I've been doing this for 20 years, but that moment of being in a van, I don't know. Like usually I like to listen to something, but what I really don't feel good after is if I'm on my phone scrolling the whole time. And it's hard to get out of that.
It's so easy to scroll.
So I'm like, I'll try to do a craft.
Try to do it. Well, yeah. Okay. What is
on the Blue Rodeo tour a couple years ago? I was I got like a book, of paper, of watercolor paper that wasn't too big, and I got like a traveling watercolor set where you put water inside the pen kind of, and then you dip it into different colors and it kind of the water goes in, whatever, I don't know.
So you're painting while on the road?
Yeah, so I did like a series of paintings and I work with a gallery in Halifax and I sold them.
Wow, so you were super multitasking.
I was. Backstage, I remember like there would be like watercolor paintings everywhere, but just small ones.
Of course, yes, because it's just on a notebook yourself.
I think I'll actually do that again, actually, now that we're talking about it.
Why not? I mean, if there was finances that were recouped, let's do it. Cool. I applaud this. Jenn Grant, tour dates all over the place with, I'm guessing, a summer that is still being populated with a number of shows along the way. I don't
know. Honestly, I don't know what kind of shows are going to happen. I have no clue. This is such a weird industry.
Well, the good news is that you get.
I have no idea.
Well, because you have such good people just taking care of everything for you.
Sometimes.
Queen of the Strait is the new release. And
Are we on? Are you wrapping up?
Yeah, we've been talking.
It's been so great.
Well, listen, you're going to be in my neighborhood in just a little while. So maybe we can staple the kids to the bedroom or something like that. And we can go out and have a couple beers.
I would love that.
Jenn Grant, thanks for doing this with me today. Have fun on the road. I can't wait. Say hey.
Talk for hours.
Say hey to Dan for me. And I definitely owe you on behalf of Steve for that time that he electrocuted you so long ago.
That's right. Yeah, see, I knew there was something with Steve. And that's right. So thank you. Yeah.
Violence. I knew there was something. Violence.
And also thanks because my record's on Spotify. So this is very helpful.
Well, you give it a listen. I've heard it already. You can go listen again. And everyone else who's listening to this program is going to go check it out. Jenn Grant, everybody. Thanks for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
We'll talk to you real soon.
Now forget everything that you thought you knew from the shed of dreams.